Well, there are fresh warnings that Australia's food production could be halved in months as the war in Iran disrupts supply chains. So what's the biggest threat to our farmers? Well, it all comes down to fuel and fertiliser.
Yeah, Australia imports 96% of our urea fertilisers from overseas, with over half of that coming from the Middle East. But with the war, exports have ground to a halt, and that will impact our farmers and eventually our food at supermarkets.
The fuel shortage means farmers can't even operate their equipment. They can't plant crops or deliver the food we eat every day, sparking concerns about soaring prices at the checkout. So to discuss all of this, we are joined by farmer Charlie Blomfield. Charlie, good to see you this morning.
Thanks very much.
Bit to be worried about?
A little bit, yes. It's just another thing that's changing in the environment at the moment with all the big things happening around the world. It's just a heap of uncertainty that I think we don't need.
When you're planning so far in advance for planting crops or picking your herd, how difficult is uncertainty to deal with?
It means orders that you may have put in place for some of your key inputs all of a sudden aren't there.
Yeah.
We got down to a point of having 70 litres of diesel on farm.
Wow.
And luckily we've got some good relationships with our suppliers, so we were able to get a bulk fuel delivery, but there's a lot of people that are still waiting for their fuel, and this is a key time of year for us.
I mean, can you afford to put things on hold like that, Charlie?
No, you sort of have to keep rocking with the show a bit because...
How do you do that?
Well, just knuckle in and do it. We've got to keep rolling with the punches to get a crop in, because if we don't, that's our income. We don't get a salary that comes in every fortnight. We plant crops and do our best to have a high quality product and then harvest them at the end of the day to sell. So that all flows through and is really slowing down at the moment.
What's the impact if those shipments keep getting blocked? Is it a matter of, are there workarounds? Is it, as you say, like I just can't imagine you can just keep knuckling down more and more and more.
There is. We do have a degree of flexibility in terms of timing. We have certain windows that we need to get our crop in, but that gets shorter and shorter. We can do things, changing varieties, X, Y, Z, but at the end of the day, we have a window to get our crop in, and we have an ideal window to put fertiliser on crops to get as much yield as we can. And if that disappears, then we have to do something else.
Charlie, you guys are literally feeding us. I mean, without you, we're nothing. We don't have food on a table. We don't have the strength that we need to get through every single day. We rely on you utterly. And you're watching this war rage on, you know, thousands of kilometres away that you have no control over. What do you need right now from the people who do have some semblance of control? What
you just said is recognition. So, like, thank you for saying that. But it feels like from the top of Australia's top brass, that recognition's not there. There was just an EU trade agreement signed where Australian agriculture, in particular red meat, was traded out for things like critical minerals. So it's at some point in Australia we've got to realise that we can't eat coal, we can't drink gas, we can't eat rare earths, and if the trucks stop, the country stops.
Yeah.
Is
so
that simple?
What's the solution then? What is there something that can be done?
This isn't a short term.
To make it easier for you. It doesn't have to fix the whole problem.
This isn't something that's just happened overnight either, and the war overseas is something that's brought it on, but this is decades of mismanagement of our infrastructure and key reserves, production capacity. So it's a longer term fix. Short term, it's just getting access to the diesel at terminal gates where people want it. Some of them are easier than others, and a lot of the regional distribution don't have their own line haul to physically cart fuel from A to B, so that's why there's a lot of shortages. So it is supply, but it's also the distribution is a problem.
So the priorities.
Yeah, just finally, just obviously you've exposed all the vulnerabilities that we face as a nation here on our own, but for the everyday Australian at home watching this and facing the prospect of rising food prices and so on, what message would you have for them?
My message is to support Australian farmers and keep going forward to put good fresh food in your kids' lunchboxes and on your tables at home. Continue to eat out, support the hospitality industry, because that supports Australian farmers and buys food that we're producing at the end of the day. And if the support for us stops, that's where it really hurts. So we'll keep going buying the inputs to produce the stuff, but we just ask that people in the city buy Australian produce where they can.
Yeah. Charlie, we're thinking of you and all your colleagues at the moment, because it's tough out there.
Yeah, it is, but we all love what we do, and we still love it, even though it costs a little bit more today than what it did a couple of weeks ago.
You're resilient folk.
We love that you do it.
Yeah.
In the regions, at times it feels a little bit like the Hunger Games, and it is getting a bit more that way, but hopefully the people in power start to see what Australian agriculture really means for everyday public.
Let's hope they're listening. Thank you so much, Charlie. Good to see you.
Thanks a lot.